Welcome back, ladies and gents. G2 off to a storming start in this best of three. Winner goes to semi-finals, loser goes home, and FrenchFrogs have been comprehensively outplayed on Nuke. The fantasy didn't play out twice.
No, it did not. And now we go into Inferno, which is going to be really interesting because this is definitely FrenchFrogs' most played map online with this lineup, so they're going to feel very comfortable here. It's also worth noting that these teams have traded Inferno matches on each other in the IM Sydney qualifiers. Both times it was G2 starting on the CT side. One time they had like a really big performance and just won the map because of it. The other time they struggled and FrenchFrogs kind of took advantage and won it. So 1-1 in the head-to-head matchup. However, G2 offline on Inferno has actually been pretty impressive. Some of their best wins came on that, like beating Fnatic a couple of times on Inferno. And it's definitely one of the maps where I feel like strategically they look pretty good, particularly getting Shox those forward positions and making it more of an entry fragger. He's very effective on this map. So there's a lot of signs that point to this map being much, much better than what we just saw on Nuke. It should be a closer affair.
Completely agreed with you. I will say that Kenny S, I think, can have a huge amount of impact on the CT side in particular with his AWP. He likes to play mid, can play banana. The guy really can come alive on Inferno, so I'm really curious to see if that's going to happen. I mean, it wasn't even a necessary part of the puzzle for G2 on Nuke. At the end of the day, the rest of the team were pulling the weight, so the AWP is not really going to get a chance to get in amongst all the kills. But this is a map I'm expecting to see a lot more from Kenny S.
Yeah, T-side opping is a little bit hard on this map, though.
Sure.
Kenny S, though, is very good at close-range opping, so we can still make it effective on a map like this. Also, this is where the riflers are really going to shine. This is where that Shox and Jax entry duo can really be looking to get things, or maybe even Lucky, even though he's kind of been resigned to more of a peripheral player. He gets to play B, which is still very active, so he still gets to use some of his entry fragging characteristics to kind of get control of top banana when he's on T-side. And they're going to come against, you know, some riflers that have kind of struggled, to be honest, outside of Haji over on the opposing side, so that can be where G2 has some favorable matchups. But no more need for speculation, Vince. We're live, and what could be the last map of the day and could be the last map for FrenchFrogs. They need this to survive.
The gauntlet has been set down. Do they accept the challenge? Are they going to go out with a whimper? Let's find out. Amanek taking the early brunt of the damage. Kenny S about to get smoked out. He's basically playing by himself. Now going to have a second player in the form of Shox coming to lend him a helping hand, but is the cavalry going to be enough? They're running into a wall of T's at this stage. 3 players so close to death. Maka perched up on the sandbags. This off angle could yield something special. Drops down. Glock full swing though. Battering heads left and right, but Lucky's finally going to get his man. Everybody from G2 barring Lucky though, so very low. Now Lucky has been bested, he's been put in his place. They're lining up. Logan's gonna put them down. Shox with the USP comes around, and for a moment he's began to believe in the USP, but instead FrenchFrogs will draw first blood on Inferno.
Yeah, quick round and very chaotic. It looked like it could go either way for a moment there, but in the end the FrenchFrogs do just put it away. And that's exactly what you feel like they needed after having such a tough time on Nuke, to establish themselves early. And I will say, once we get to the gun rounds, FrenchFrogs, and I've watched them play in front, they do have some really impressive tactics for this map, and so we'll get to that later once it becomes proper. We do see Maka find that first kill onto Jax. Kenny S does try to see if he can't at least get something here. Do you think there's utility to pick up or something? I'm not really sure he keeps running over that body.
Yeah, there was a smoke. He just got it at the end. It's just one of those CSGO things. He was stuck on the side of the wall, but he does have the smoke now. There's 4 in play still for G2. Kenny S playing a more passive angle. Gonna rip the head off Maka. Eviscerates him. Next up in line is Jinx, but he may think twice about re-peeking. The bomb's still dropped on the T side of the map, so someone's gonna have to go back and pick it. I think it's gonna be Jinx now with his AK, or UMP, pardon me. Shox had plenty of opportunities, finally does connect the dots and frag out Haji. AK-47 in the hands of Kenny, but it's over on the A side of the map. He needs to come help Shox out. There's another one. Bull gets sprawled, but easily gonna be retrievable.
Another chaotic round, but FrenchFrogs do weather the storm and get this bomb over towards B. They haven't planted just yet, though, is the problem. That's giving G2 time to get into positions through CT spawn. Luckily, David P catches Amanek right away, but Kenny S still here with an AK. Still with perhaps a chance as he creeps around that smoke. Nope, of course not. David P wise to it. Ends it right away. And there you have it. It's been weathered rounds, but they've gotten them. Very close indeed.
They've hit a fair amount of roadblocks, but they've continued to press forward with the wheels hanging off at times. G2, another investment, but not fully. Look to carpet bomb somewhere. Amanek throws the first. There's still 4 nades in hands, though. They can double stack nade banana, but they're gonna wait. Can bounce it off the wall into the oncoming terrorists around where the car used to be. Just next to Logan now. That really is the key to success in this round, if they can get those double nades into fruition and get some kills off it, but it's only gonna weaken Logan, not outright kill him.
A lot of pressure creating by David P here, just inside the pit. Also now finding one at Moto, gets that kill. He's definitely going to hold these players in place, maybe even cause a rotate off the B-bomb. So he's doing so much work by himself. Actually now, because of it, they'll just decide to come up middle.
Jax, by his lonesome. 2 teammates haven't budged an inch so far. They're going to have a buy in the next round. They have no Kevlar to save, so if ever there is a time to throw away some pistols on some adventures, it's right here, right now. Seeing a couple players towards Boiler and Quad, but not going to be able to best either of them. And now Lucky's perched in the exit frag position of Library with a CZ. This is where he could strike, and he is going to on Tahachi. He knows there's still players in close proximity that will try and stop him from picking up the fallen weapon. That's why he's playing so passively, and Jinx will find the headshot. 3-0 start to FrenchFrogs, but here we go, Dust. This is the moment of truth. Rifle round upcoming for G2.
Yeah, will they be able to defend these attacks of FrenchFrogs? Again, when they played each other online, they traded games against each other. One time, G2 handled FrenchFrogs' T side just fine. The other, they struggled. Which will be the case here is going to be the question. Because FrenchFrogs, they have a lot of cool strats. One of them is where they can just throw really fast smokes on the run on Arch and Moto and actually just grab A really fast. But this is going to be G2 taking the pressure to them up middle. Look at this aggression. Amanek gets the bomb down already. Luckily, Logan trades back 2 for 1, so makes it efficient. Kenny S misses a shot, has to run away. Might get caught on the way out. Not quite. But Jinx is already up lane. A is clear.
Already up there in a very commanding position. They have smoked off. There's a slight gap, and Shox can see through there. I think he just saw a player drop from balcony. David P gets the drop on Lucky. He was too busy tearing down T-steps. Looks like it's going to be a save, but David P is a step ahead of them. He's going to stop this AWP from going through into the next round. I think Kenny S, his sixth sense is tingling. He knows that this is a possibility. I don't think he assumes that he's already to his left-hand side. Oh, it's going to be blood in the water, and David P will gobble up Kenny S and get rid of that AWP. Shox and an M4 next to fall potentially. Nice shot by Logan. This is a very confident start from FrenchFrogs, already tying up the amount of rounds they got on Nuke.
I mean, G2 did take kind of a gamble there, being so aggressive at mid on the opening gun round, not doing any type of just standard B control play or just kind of giving their players a chance with guns to just defend. They tried to be really proactive, and Logan really made them pay for it as he was inside the sewers at middle and traded out that push really effectively. So now G2 will just be on upgraded pistols. Trying to stack over towards lane, is keeping the 2 normal players over at B, Shox and Lucky.
Shox has been smacked pretty hard, but to be fair, a grenade finds its way onto multiple FrenchFrogs players too. UMP in hand, we'll see 2 kills go the way of Jinx. And B site get ripped open. It is open for business, but they're not going to push behind this. They're anticipating the over-rotation. All 3 G2 remaining players are pressing down on B site. If FrenchFrogs still go in for this, I'd be very, very surprised. I mean, surely you've got to anticipate they've rotated at this stage. They're going to play passively. They're waiting for this push to come through them. And it's worked out a dream. Complete cleanup.
Yeah, flawless victory, no rebuying needed, so money's really building. You have Jinx already past $10,000 and a couple of players quite near that too, mid 7,500 range. Mid David P also near 10K, so this is great for them. G2 Esports will get the AWP for Kenny S, and Augs across the board, save for Shox with the M4. This is where they need to slow it down, I feel like, on the G2 side. They're going to do Standard setup, no mid push this time. FrenchFrogs just kind of taking their time, getting some basic control in their own right. Okay, it's hard to take a late peek down middle, but the smoke's going to block the vision.
That nade slightly too deep to trouble FrenchFrogs. Oh, these entries looking so crisp from Hadji. Nothing that Shox nor Lucky can do about that.
Yeah, it's nothing special. It's just basic stuff. Hadji is one of the normal guys that is going to do beat control for FrenchFrogs round in, round out. And he actually just gets 2 clean entries there. That's just kind of the dream scenario for FrenchFrogs at that point. So they're up 6-0. G2 needed to save these guns, obviously. Can't really be looking to retake here. And so this is a great little response from FrenchFrogs after getting battered on Nuke. They are up to the challenge here so far on Inferno, and G2 need to figure something out fast.
David P went lurking, wanted to try and find some of these saved guns. He's got it wrong, though. Jack's currently towards the T spawn. Amanek still perched in ruins. His life may be forfeit. He's got 39 health. He has to get out of here. He'll die to the bomb otherwise. Logan should have him. Or not, but he's going to die anyway. They would like to have saved 2 AWPs. He did pick up an AWP just before he got blown up, but won't be happening.
Yeah, they'd love it because Shox does like to be that second opera on the B bomb site pretty consistently, and he's usually pretty effective at it, so they'd love to be able to do that, but it's not going to be the case now. And the crazy thing is that FrenchFrogs are already up 6-0. They haven't had to run any of the plays that I know that they're capable of. They've just been able to do the basics, counter G2's aggression, just play standard map control. They haven't had to turn the pages at all in that playbook. And it's good to know that because if you're already doing well without it, and you have it just in case, that bodes well for their half.
Trying to steady the nerves, steady the ship to some degree in this timeout. Curious to see where they go from here. Obviously, max round loss bonus for them. So they can buy.
Opt for Shox instead of Kenny S. That is certainly a little bit interesting. Usually Shox will not have it unless it's a double op setup. We're going to go for a triple banana pressure as well. Though they all just sit back site. Even though they have 3 stack B, they're not using it to pressure. That's certainly odd. You don't really see that very often.
It could lull FrenchFrogs into a false sense of security as well, getting this much real estate. Assuming it would be a 1 or 2 player stack of their Shox.
That's so weird seeing Shox at mid with the AWP, but what do I know? He gets to pick on the Maka with the late mid peek.
Well, the gun gave him away, and now Hadji is trying to find something. This must be so confusing for FrenchFrogs. Like, hold on, is B clear? Nope. Kenny S is going to show his hand alongside Amanek. At the backside, new box and second oranges. Spelling doom for FrenchFrogs. That grenade's going to bank off the corner. Shatters in Jinx's face. Still plenty of time left, but the smokes and flashes are going to start to deplete momentarily. There's another kill, though. Jinx on the cross gets jacked. It's starting to fall apart. A slow rotation from Lucky means it's just Shox alone to try and fend this off. He knows it's planted on the left-hand side of the site, so at least they know one player is here.
Yeah, there's no chance for Jinx to get out of this spot, so they might be able to do something with it. They don't have an incendiary there or anything like that to flush him out, so they just have to work up together and just see if they can't catch timing on his peak.
There is a Molotov in the hands of Logan. He's going to be called upon here. Throw down that Molotov. Now he comes up peeking, and there it is, the spray, double headshots. FrenchFrogs weather the early storm from G2, and it was all bark and no bite at the end of the day.
Yeah, it seemed like G2 were just trying to go for some mind games by having Shox peek out middle with the AWP, maybe lure them into a false sense of security over towards the B bomb side, thinking, hey, Shox normally a B defender's out mid with an AWP, maybe there's a vulnerability to be had. Despite the fact that G2 put up a decent fight at first on this side, it still folds in the end.
Must be soul-crushing as well, Dust, to pull a timeout to get that close, to have the strat work out, and then just the execution fall through.
Now they're trying to do triple B again, and almost the same thing. They're not trying to pressure. They're doing a stack on the triple box in the back of the site. They have Kenny S opping from the corner. This makes A very vulnerable, particularly Arch side, because the 2 CTs are just focused pit and watching lane. It's scary to think that G2's already been forced into a position where they have to make calls like this. These are gambles that they're doing right now.
do seem like desperation plays. There's no getting around it. Last round nearly worked out. This time, Kenny S peeking down Banana, but they've completely given up mid and arch control.
Yep.
At some point, one of those B players is going to have to think, well, hold on. There's one player in CT spawn right now.
Yep. Now FrenchFrogs are gearing up for smokes. They're probably going to smoke off Library and Arch, look to maybe do some type of split up lane. Actually, Jinx just doing it to block off left. They're actually going to try to do a smoke wall on pit side, but Amanek up close with the shotgun, but he's not even able to find one. That is rough to see as the tears come pouring in. And that's already the round done. G2 will just save these 3 guns over on the B side of the map. Again, FrenchFrogs, they have had short time together with these 2 new additions with the core of the X3D Max team, but their Inferno T side is actually really sharp with their utility.
It's looked razor sharp thus far. Whichever way you spin it, with them taking this round, whatever happens from here on out, they are going to be leading at halftime with 8 rounds. And it could easily be far more than double digits. A save on the horizon for G2. With this save, they should be able to muster a bye. That's no longer the most important aspect of this half. They've just got to start getting some rounds. They've got to start converting. They've had chances, some of them more fleeting than others, but they've got to grasp on with both hands. Here come the drops into a full buy dust. Are we going to see another B stack, maybe? I have no idea what to expect now.
I don't know. Kenny needs to get something going today. They're just, doing something different, maybe peeking into apartments, maybe trying to do something at middle, peeking out window. I'm not sure what it is, but Amanek runs through the fire. That's a ballsy play, and it's going to work out for him. No one even there to trade him back. That took a lot of courage for Amanek to run through there, and he's finally gotten his team an advantage in the early round situation.
Maybe felt pressured because of the lack of a purchase. I thought they'd go for more. Lucky round the corner through the flashbang. Nearly lines up a second. Damage inflicted to Haji, but he comes out with 2 entries again. This man is on fire right now on Inferno. And Kenny S to try and douse the flames, but he's going to be on the receiving end of a battering too. Amanek rotating up through Banana. Has a smoke to deal with. It's going to subside momentarily. But then Logan and David P, who've already established themselves at the back of the site in dark and new boxes, respectively. No nades to draw out one of these locations. David P smacked him anyway. What a turnaround performance this is.
I just don't even know how that happened to G2. I mean, you got Amanek taking a great pick at window on the opposite side of the map, getting the 5-on-4. The best look G2's really had pretty much all game long. They had good positioning at B, and they just crumbled. I mean, even had the pot flash push to the smoke, and the FAMAS line up a couple of players. It's just Shox fell with no kill, and then the rest of the site just crumbled in the aftermath. It's like deja vu with the opposite team on the receiving end at this point. Just, again, when you come to a timeout like this, it's hard to even know what adjustment you can make because there's nothing's working for you. People just aren't connecting shots. It kind of all goes back, by the way, to when they decided on the very first gun round to just charge mid, to try to do something crazy. And I feel like that set their economy back really the whole way through.
Well, Kenny with 3 kills and just shy of 30 ADR. That has got to change here. He's a star player. He's a player that you expect more from. This time it's Shox as opposed to Amanek through. Apps gonna reap the rewards.
Speaking of deja vu.
Similar outcome, isn't it? But will we round in the same way? Lucky sprays through the smoke, lives up to his name. Maka and Haji sent packing. Maybe that's just the flicker of luck they needed to bounce back in Inferno and get some rounds behind them.
This is some weird timing, by the way. Jax has pushed through alt mid. The bomb has just slipped by him. He does catch it in the end, so very nice from Jax. That pretty much puts the finishing touches on this round, unless Logan just does something absolutely absurd. A lot of time there, but bomb is well far away from him, and he's just trapped on all sides.
I mean, to be fair to him, he's 14-2 with 153 ADR. That's,
what was the point in extinguishing that?
Yeah.
That's just a waste of a smoke grenade.
Wasn't it at the back of, like, sandbags?
I guess because he just didn't want them to pick it up. He knew he was going to die, so I guess he just didn't want them to get a free smoke grenade. That's, I guess, one way to look at it.
Bit of an odd one, but we'll let him off. He's had a very good performance so far. Here is the
That's a big, that was huge
from Jax, dropping multiple players in the bomb. So G2 will be hoping it's one of many. A little bit of a run boost for Kenny S to peek down T steps. No one's there. They're actually pushing up second mid. This information may give G2 the initiative to keep 3 players on A side, though.
This will slow down the FrenchFrogs performance. Now they actually eat a bunch of utility damage on Logan and Maka, so they've been softened up. They do have a couple of cool little smoke wall variations on Pit where they can sneak a player in. And once you get Pit control as a terrorist, that really helps you press onto the site later. You can see them conditioning Pit with utility as we speak. So they could very well get in there, but they actually decide to back off. G2 holding a crossfire top mid. Usually a lot of teams will just kind of fade back and give up this portion of the map, but G2 are actively looking to engage here.
Flash into peek through sandbags. Lucky Org in hand. There's a good counter flash. Thrown in from a Shox and a dink to Haji. Can count himself. Lucky survived that. 2 HP to his name. Even trade though. G2 now going to have to spread themselves a bit thinly. You can see Kenny S was toying with the idea of going to A site, but he thinks second of it. And now he's about to get aggressed on. This is going to be effectively a 4v1 if they pile out together, but it's 1 by 1. Amanek can just hold his position right now. FrenchFrogs have got to get a move on. They don't have the time or the utility to supplement this slow push. Jack through the smoke is going to best Logan, drop the bomb out. This is a misplay from FrenchFrogs. They still have Maka in amongst the action, but against 3 players and no control of the bomb, it's over. I am very surprised at how that round ended, Dust. He's doing damage on his way out, though.
Yeah, just thought they needed to all go Pit and then come out. You know, if you got Pit for free and you're worried about someone lane, you could use your Molotov or smoke to block it off and get you in the site. They wanted to smoke off Moto, fair enough. They did have a Molotov and they threw it to Porch, but it came way too late. Amanek had already gotten a kill and gotten away by the time that fire was put to use. So I think they just messed up the timing on their nades a little bit. I thought the approach was fine. It actually could have worked out well if they would have all gotten in Pit, but...
Yeah, it has to be more of an explosion, like Molly into, oh, again, that same run boost. Really, Kenny S. He's knifing the air in anger. Why are the CS gods against me today? He's flying across with bullets, and it's Lucky that strikes first.
Yeah, we're starting to see G2 come alive now on the CT side. There's been several rounds here in a row now that G2 are starting to get those opening kills and actually capitalizing on them.
That Molotov got extinguished, so it's not going to keep the terrorists at bay, and definitely heard that from Kenny S's perspective, so he knows it. That's why he's eagle-eyed on the corner.
Seems like they want to do some type of mid-B split here through Archway, but that bomb's actually still way down towards the spawn. They do get the kill on the Kenny S. This does get David P into CT. So this makes things very dangerous now for G2 Esports. They have to worry about mid-B split. They have to worry about an R trap. But Amanek has caught David P, so that pressure has been somewhat alleviated.
Oh, Maka, calm down. Flicked Amanek out of his boots. Still 50 seconds.
Still winnable, too. 3-on-3, and Shox is quite low on health. There's just not much utility, though, for FrenchFrogs. In fact, there's just one smoke on Jinx to try to get them into this A-bomb site. Shox has already made the rotation to assist his player inside the site to defend.
Smoke to the back of A. Maka is going to be called upon. If he can get an entry here, it would be so vitally important for FrenchFrogs. Shox and Jax looking to hold the line. Shox is purposely baiting Jax out here. Doesn't want to show his hand until he's required. Very well played. One of the few times where baiting is A-okay. And G2 going to pick up a 3rd round for themselves.
Yeah, definitely a good little configuration there from G2 to close that one out. It's now 3 in a row for G2. And again, it feels like it's just off the back of them finally getting those early picks. They're also contesting Banana way better now. Lucky what that AUG has been really up to snuff. They were actually falling prey to Haji's entries at B time and time again. Logan was also giving them a lot of problems, but now it seems like Lucky's settling in. They're dealing with it. He's also gotten some help, some good pop flashes from Shox to help him take peeks. So it's all starting to come together for G2, and it's come at a good time. It's come a little late. You would have hit them to hopefully recover a bit sooner, but at least they're not in danger territory. If they can win out this half, get to 6, win pistol second half, you're right back in the game.
Sure, it came late, but not where there's no chance to turn it around. If they can close out with consecutive victories, the 9-6 half would not be bad at all. It was 9 unanswered rounds to FrenchFrogs, though. Momentum starting to shift, but make no mistake, FrenchFrogs still in stellar position. Jax naded hard in apps. Peeked that one too many times. Kenny S now picking up the orb, realizing what maybe not working for him. Hachi, though, on the return. Mid is being overwhelmed. Is swollen with terrorists.
That was actually the strat that I was talking about way earlier, where FrenchFrogs have these set smokes they throw on the run up middle, and they land so fast in Library and Arch that they're able to wrap just so rapidly. But G2 did a great job, one, having Kenny S face close, and they had some good counter utility, so they put that fast play that FrenchFrogs were hoping for to a screeching halt. And now they actually have some leeway in this round. Some utility pressure being put out upon Safety trying to sneak into pits. Actually doesn't jump out, kind of fakes it and then falls back. Meanwhile, Lucky on this op is able to find Maka.
Yeah, David P trying to be that irritating nuisance in apps, but as soon as Lucky gets that pick, it now draws a second player over to B. That interference play has nowhere near the same level of impact. David P decides he's going to try and flank around the side. That is going to keep Amanek here. It's going to keep him for a few extra seconds, and those few extra seconds could mean everything. They're going to go for this boost now. Shox is waiting patiently as Hachi finds the kill. He's in prime position. Double spray, and Shox holds the line, no problem.
Nice little gimmick to maybe get them in, but Shox was just well positioned to fend that off, and so that's 4 in a row for G2. The funds are starting to drain as well on the T side. And as you can see, the repercussions are that they're just going to be on upgraded pistols this round.
Kenny S goes with the AWP once more. Did have a round away from it. Did have the option of an AWP, but went for the AUG instead. Peeking into apps. Oh, corner glimpse, but the flick wasn't on. Kenny's missed quite a few shots today. Nothing wrong with that from Amanek though. Galil tried true aim. This is where the 35 as opposed to 30 rounds does help in the magazine, but he is eventually gonna succumb to his wounds. As will Logan and Maka. So G2, credit to them, after 9 rounds in a row, have plucked up 5 of their own.
Yeah, really starting to settle in, starting to see some of their players connect the shots. We're seeing them, again, fend off banana control much, much better. Kenny S is challenging middle nicely. He's not getting kills, he's putting pressure, causing them to have to fall back. Shox and Amanek have really had a game as well now.
Yeah, Amanek has been pretty consistent for G2 in this tournament.
Yeah,
turning quite a few heads.
And that's a good sign, because if you have Shox and Kenny S who've been playing pretty well lately, and then you get Amanek in the mix as well, that's when this team starts getting dangerous.
Lucky's back turn just to deter any flashbangs. Left Shox by himself though. Pressure applied to B. Fast rotation from Jax to fill in the gap.
And this is tough because there's still presence from FrenchFrogs on the opposite side of the map, so G2 can't really freely rotate. They do indeed send Jax over. Kenny S trying to find something at middle. This could be very risky, though. If he just happens to be looking the wrong direction, he could get blindsided. Jinx has a chance, but he gets bailed out by Amanek Dog. And Amanek still catches David P jumping out of the balcony. That's so impressive.
Jax needs to stay alive because Lucky is still on the site. If he can draw fire, this is where the rotation could come in solidly. Lucky, with the aid of a flashbang courtesy of Kenny S, will pounce, and it's all turning sideways for FrenchFrogs. They're being culled left and right. Logan, the main man with 14 frags, is going to have to add 3 more to his belt. Won't be happening. Stumbles on the first block, and G2 do come back to a 9-6 score.
Yes, 6 rounds in a row. What a recovery. They're now back in contention here for the 2-0. So stay tuned, folks. We'll be right back to bring you the rest of Inferno.
A commanding, solid start for the French Frogs faded away, and perhaps their dreams of coming back into this best of 3 go with it. They are still in the lead though, Dust, at 9-6, but this pistol could very well determine how the rest of this map goes.
Yeah, if G2 wins this, they're right back in the race of perhaps shutting this out in 2 rather than needing that safety net of a 3rd map, which would be Train. G2 did get a little bit of utility in on this. Gathering up over here towards the A side of the map, aggressively pushing out. Oh, there's a boost. Ownic doesn't care, gets the entry anyhow, and Jax follows it up nicely.
David P, same position to Shox. In the pistol, called upon. Needs to frag out. Only 1 to his name, and A site has been taken. The bomb's a little bit slow to be planted. Need to retrieve this, and Lucky nearly loses his life as a result. Kenny S gets a flashbang to the face. You have to peel back into pit and play more passive. Just keep them interested, keep them stalled. Bomb finally gets planted. Between the 2 of them, a CZ. Fahaji's been taken away. Kenny S, laser precision with the USP. Maka, 2 players to find in 2 very different locations. No nades and no kit. Bomb still has a fair bit to go on its timer though. He's being gradually whittled away and put down. So 2nd pistol will go the way of G2, and this match really now anybody's.
Yeah, that's just such a great job by Ownic. You know, there's a player boosted on porch, which you don't really see often on pistol rounds. Still gets the kill, and Jax with a great little trade afterwards, and they had a bit of utility to block off Moto as they went into sight. So that's a good job. Now G2 are right back in this. It's going to be a force buy from FrenchFrogs, so they buy a lot of utility with these upgraded pistols. G2 with a lot of MAC 10s, but there's a lot of head armor out there, so they're not going to be nearly as effective as they normally would be.
It's a good call from FrenchFrogs. Many teams fall into this trap that against the SMGs, if you get a bit greedy and try and upgrade to superior pistols or skimp out on the head armor for utility, it can cost you dearly. So in a straight up engagement, these 5.7s and CZs actually are very powerful now with this head armor.
Yeah, G2 just kind of content to sit back, play at default. Again, Lucky now a peripheral player, but he's going to be very active at controlling top B. This is one of the maps where playing the edge of the map is still kind of an entry fragger's role. So Lucky's going to feel at home doing this type of thing. Meanwhile, Shox is freed up to help Lucky at times control B, but also be an entry at middle. This time it does look like he is going to be looking to force his way into B. Utility, though, in his face kind of blocks his access, so now they'll have to retreat as they try to wrap up Arch.
5-7 narrowly missing out from David P's perspective. Going to get smoked out from Library. Logan, long range, would love to have a Deagle here instead, but is going to have to make do with a CZ. He's being found. David P still trying to connect something through the smoke of Library, which from the CT's perspective seems to have lasted forever. The Arch one now going to deplete, allowing David P and Maka to come back in for seconds. Next Mac 10 should be fed. 2 kills, not quite. Does get the kill onto Macra at the very least, so this round has now been secured. Haji takes down Amanek, who face plants the wall. Haji will meet the same fate. So G2 bring us back to a 1-round deficit with FrenchFrogs forcing in this one. It's going to leave them with very little to play with. If they could take an AK out, that'd be beautiful. In fact, it's a Galil, pardon me, but still on assault rifle is a huge upgrade over what was looking likely just a few moments ago. It does also mean that David P could drop his 5.7 to somebody else. Yep. They can have 2 plays that are a threat.
Yeah, so they pose a little bit more of a problem than they normally would have, where they likely would have just been on a full save, and it should have been just a formality for G2 to waltz into a tied 9-9 game, but now they have to worry a little bit more. As you noted, he will indeed drop that 5.7 to Jinx. They actually get some nades as well to do some type of nade attack. Maybe kind of nade down middle and the bottom banana. Try to see if they can't pull off something crazy.
Down banana it is, but there's flashes and Mac 10s up in their eyes. So Molotov burning them away, though. If they pushed in, it would have been at the cost of Jax's life. They're going to hold fire. They have 4 rifles at their disposal. They don't want to lose any of them. If Jax dies, no big deal. That's an expendable gun. So he will be going in first. Very much the budgie down the mine shaft. Figure out what's ahead of them. Lucky gets dinked. He's going to be out of there. Double peek onto Shox, but he's a man on form right now. Doesn't matter how many people you throw at him, he will be the last man standing. Jinx maybe can get the element of surprise with this 5-7. But apart from that, G2, they are going to be bringing us back to equality at 9-9.
It took a moment, but they did eventually break into B. They got past a nade stack, didn't even really do that much damage. There was a little bit of fear for a moment. That's why they were just kind of using a MAC-10 on a scouting mission, but then Shox wound up just getting a couple of kills with the AK nonetheless, and that locks up the round. Jinx is trying to hold on at Boiler, see if maybe someone's going to lurk around and allow him to collect a gun, but Amanek is not going to push forward. So there you have it. G2 tie up the game, and now all of a sudden, that big 9-0 lead that FrenchFrogs had, it's gone. It's all gone. And so now the 2-0 is still possible for G2.
Definitely is. It's been a streaky game. 9 rounds to FrenchFrogs, answered back G2. Pick up 9 rounds on the bounce. The momentum's in their favor, the economy's in their favor, and the overall arcing score of this best of 3 is also in their favor. Those of you that sided with FrenchFrogs, maybe trying to change your mind somewhat. But they're not out of it just yet, Darcy. It is looking doom and gloom, but they can still easily bounce back.
But here's the problem. If G2 can get comfortable, they're going to be a real force to be reckoned with on this T side. Again, Shox is now more in a central position, entry fragging with Jax. If they get that opening kill, they're very good at reacting to it and following it up quickly, not giving you a chance to rotate or react. So that's the thing. G2 plays a fast-paced style, but it's definitely refined. It's not scrappy and loose. They play together really well, and they just follow out their picks efficiently. So that means that FrenchFrogs need to stop those picks from happening. They need to limit any entry fragging from Shox and Jax, or Lucky at top banana. Very default opening here from G2. The only thing that's really not the same is that Amanek's not playing the apartments. He's actually drifting towards B pretty early, so it seems like they're going to go for a set piece right away. Definitely have the utility for it.
Player style certainly has been aggressive, but not reckless. They have to keep that going forward. It is just going to be Haji with an AUG. Lonely on Coffin. It's going to end up being his final resting place, but he decides to back away. He wants to wait for the rest of his team to arrive. They're going to be filtering through from CT side. If they don't get a kill soon, though, this site is very rough to retake. They do have 2 incendiaries. That can get rid of New Box and Dark pretty fast. Maybe toss that into Banana. Shox is waiting, as are the rest of G2, posturing. Pontificating on what could be a push any second now. Maka has landed with the AWP. That could lull them into going for this. That smoke is about to clear. Here come the incendiaries. Now they can see the back of the site. Now the smoke is clear, but Shox got close using the smokes as his sanctuary. He's going to pop out just in time. Kenny, yes, Khalil, and there's the spray. The end result is G2 pick it up. I don't think they even had time anyway if they did kill Kenny. And for the first time on Inferno, they take the lead.
It's actually kind of scary because there was meant to be a lurk that was going to come arch in the CT spawn, but Maka actually caught it. And that gave him a man advantage on the retake, but it also slowed Maka down from getting through spawn to help with the retake, which helped kill the clock on the bomb. And as you noted, even if NES doesn't get those kills, they probably don't have time to defuse. So now G2 take a lead for the first time this game. And FrenchFrogs will have to work with very little. They're trying to get aggressive at Banana, but Shox the MAC-10 up close is good for one. Another one fairly damaged. Somehow he avoids that nade. He's dodging all of this utility, but finally is cooked. Took a little bit longer than expected, but it still had the same result. And there you have it. G2 will march to 11. Starting to look like they're finding their stride.
I think Maka should be able to salvage a rifle. It was dropped down Banana. There's a MAC-10, but I'm pretty sure a second player died here as well.
Yep. I just don't know if they got maybe grabbed and tossed somewhere to where he couldn't get it.
Yeah, it's very possible it did. Or actually, pardon me, no, it was the player that jumped out of balcony. So it's over on the A site.
Okay.
So MAC-10 is the best that Maka can hope for. Does keep a CZ and a HE alongside it, though. Maybe can drop that down to someone like David P. I don't see him having a huge amount of finances in the next round. But G2 extend their lead. This is starting to get into pretty dire circumstances now for FrenchFrogs. They need a miracle. Maybe this is a time for a timeout just to talk about things.
Yeah, especially because, you know, your economy gets put in a really bad spot. Now you don't have the utility to challenge banana control. You don't have the utility to stuff things at middle. You have to rely more on angels and playing more passive because you're giving up more free map control to G2. And if you allow that to happen, G2 are very comfortable just working quick pushes once they have that initial foundation to launch from. So that's something you have to think about as the half drags on. Luckily, this round, FrenchFrogs will have a pretty good purchase. Lucky just lurking out B by himself, keeping players in place. The rest of G2 are looking again to attack really quickly. They are known for their fast 1-4 plays. But David P, this could be tricky.
It's not the Mac-10 he had. It's an XM.
No!
One point blank hit Jack square in the face for 84 damage.
That's tilting. He had the right idea, too. That's a perfect time to peek when an op gets the kill like that. They're not going to expect the push, so it was the right call. It just did not get the damage it needed. And so G2 now get to 12. Playing an effective, fast-paced style, but as you noted, it's not reckless. It's together. They have, you know, safety nets in place to trade off of one another, and it's happened again for them. 3 Augs will be saved by FrenchFrogs. No challenge from G2 against them, so they'll certainly carry them over. But still, at the end of the day, G2 are getting closer and closer to the finish line, closer to that semifinal spot, and FrenchFrogs are getting closer to the airport to get the hell out of here. Actually, probably not, right? Maybe a train. They all are French, pretty much.
Either way, they're on their way home.
Yeah,
you get it. Can't pull this one back. Whereas G2 will book their place in the semifinals tomorrow. A team that many would have anticipated to get towards the end, maybe even the finals. I think Mouse and Vanguard would be at the top of that list as well.
Yep.
But here we are. Here comes the tactical timeout. Time to turn things around, get a motivational speech in there. They haven't really had any plays they can really get hype about or fired up about either. It's been a bit of a whimpering performance after that 9-0 lead. It just all fell a bit flat.
It's tough. I mean, G2 have just been working really quickly, so they're not giving their opponents really a lot of time to respond. And we kind of talked about that at the beginning of the half. You know, we thought about how G2 approaches Inferno. They are a very reactionary team. They're very quick to follow up picks, which doesn't give you that time to rotate. It can be a very punishing style when you're landing that initial kill. And now FrenchFrogs must have to do a little bit around just the 3 Augs that they saved. Not much around it, but it's something. Still have money in the bank, too, to full buy next round, so that's one of the promising things.
Playing a bit more conservative, though. They could have got a full buy with nades behind it. Could have dropped some FAMASs or even MP9s, but they decided to play a bit more cautiously.
Except for the stack, that's a gamble. They have 3 players playing top mid and 1 over towards the balcony. Maka solo holding B still gets a kill onto Lucky, which means G2 can't even begin to start prying on B, which means the stack at A can hold. And so it could get really, really scary for G2 depending on which route they choose to take in the late round. And it looks like they are dancing towards A. Not committal, though. The bomb still sitting towards alt. But this could get really hairy.
The justice served as well. It was Maka that spammed Lucky through the smoke. But here we go. The push through mid. Amanek finds Jinx and gets that kill for free. He can duck out of that. There's no retaliation. There's no need to repay what he's done. Amanek's waiting. The other side of the smoke gets one trading out, but again, there's no second player behind there. So now FrenchFrogs know it's going to be a B hit. They can rotate round. Lucky, or Logan, pardon me, is waiting for his moment to push the smoke. Gets it done. 14 seconds. Save plant for Shox. Knows he can't be spammed up through the smoke or pushed through the smoke without seeing it. And he relocates. There is an incendiary and there's a grenade. So much of this round could pivot off where Hadji decides to toss them, if indeed he does. Shox now going back to the new boxes. Back into dark. This is where the incendiary is that much more powerful now. If Hadji calls this correctly, it could be over, but he's gone for new box instead. This is where Shox was! And Shox comes out swinging with a headshot. Nice try by FrenchFrogs, but not quite good enough.
Amazing decision-making from Shox in the 1v1. He knows that new box is going to be the most commonly incendiary spot on a retake like that. So he kind of slowly shimmies his way out into a spot that's unlikely to be naded, and then gets the intel once the incendiary comes in on exactly where his opponent's coming from. So great work from him. Also great work from Amanek, by the way. Without his kills at middle, that round's not even close. There's not even a chance for Shox to get a 1v1. Did really great attacking out Boiler and getting a second kill on the CT who pushed.
Flirtation in Banana, but hasn't yielded anything of consequence thus far. Molotov's being thrown into apps, just making sure that Boiler isn't where one of those pesky CTs are currently residing.
Flash in.
Hadji out.
Not good enough. Again, they're giving up so much map control for free early, and then they try to do late aggressions, and G2 has caught it every single time. They've been so efficient on handling any type of play FrenchFrogs tries to make, and again, Amanek is wreaking havoc at middle time and time again. It is starting to really pile on FrenchFrogs at this point. It's not looking good. Even with max loss bonus coming up next round, the buy is not going to be fantastic. They're going to have to sacrifice rifles for utility. It's becoming a bit of a mess, Vince.
It really is.
Plus, dude, 13 straight rounds, 14 straight rounds in a row.
Yeah.
That's so unreal.
And because of that, the funds on G2 are starting to boom. You've got over $10,000 for Kenny S, who's going to go hunting. Amanek over 6,000, Shox over 6,000. It's only going to go up after this round, of course, and Logan is being encircled, swarmed, and it's Kenny S putting the final nail in the coffin. So with this money, not only do FrenchFrogs have to win out, they're going to have to win out against full purchase T sides. There is no easy way forward here.
No, not at all. This has to be so mentally draining if you're FrenchFrogs. You were up 9-0, and now there's been 14 unanswered rounds from your opponent to make a crazy comeback. And now you have to concede that point for free, basically. It's just pistols and nades. They want a comfortable full buy in the last, so now you're putting yourself in, you know, a race to overtime at best. Unless you pull out something wacky with pistols, but Amanek has been so good at clearing out these apartments. That's his normal position on default, and he is so good at taking it appropriately. He's fended off one push. It's Logan off the board. They've taken some damage, sure, but they still have good footing on the round.
Indeed, one of the keys to success when you have pistols is to establish crossfires or play in groups of 2 or 3. So you saw the reaction. As soon as they killed Logan, they didn't press straight forward. They waited for the retaliation. Oh, Kenny, what a flick, nearly gets another one. But Jax is there to lend him a helping hand. Arches carved out comfortably for G2. And they will romp towards the A site and get that bomb planted.
Yeah. A rare miss from Kenny S after hitting an incredible flick earlier. But we do have Lucky as kind of the checkmate, making do CT spawn. Even if this starts to get dicey, Lucky's still the insurance policy to make sure this goes their way.
They want to save this AK-47, but I think Lucky's seen them now, and they've decided against it. They're pressing forward. G2, 6 match points now to secure their spot in the semi-finals. Now, FrenchFrogs, as a result, they're half by. They are going to have a full purchase available.
Yeah, but are you really going to be able to have confidence in winning 6 rounds in a row and you haven't gotten a single one yet on this side? That is a tall task to ask of this team at this point.
It's really grim, isn't it?
I mean, G2 is just, to sum it up, it's simple but effective. You know, they're not doing anything elaborate, but what they are doing is trading efficiently, playing their default out perfectly, and making these simple executes work. There's been no response from FrenchFrogs. They've never had an op on Maka, by the way, on the CT side, so he's never been able to try to do anything. They do contest banana control quite nice for this round. They've won the utility war. They've done a lot of damage.
A flashbang, though, is going to open a gateway, and the confidence is just dripping away from FrenchFrogs. They must be feeling cursed at this stage on Inferno. Kenny S, very much a confidence player. Gonna get pushed. Unlucky timing. Nearly Mario'd his way into a kill. That would have been something truly spectacular.
Oh my goodness, man. I couldn't have handled it if that would have happened. Now we have a 2-on-3. It's Jackson Lucky, very low on health. Maka watching the cross, but he will get smoked off. He's gonna have to spam or push through or concede the site for now and play for retake. Looks like he's chosen the latter option, which is fine. I will say this, though, there's no kit, so they're going to have to work a little bit quickly. They do have an HE grenade, though, which can do wonders in this situation. They've already gotten lucky off the board as well, and now it's all on Jax, 1v3.
38 health to his name, does have a HE. Can bank that off the wall and can land in all these oncoming CT's faces. Here we go. They're going to be holding down the defuse. Takes about half of the health away. Gets the frag. He's anticipating the players not fully defusing. Maybe assuming that it already come to fruition if they had a kit, but they don't. G2 with a plant. But FrenchFrogs, they've stopped the 15-round win streak. Yes, you heard that right. Not something you say too often.
Not at all. This was so wild.
Straight up Mario gameplay. I kind of wish he did land that just for the ridiculous reaction and nature of it.
Do it for the clip. We are going to see a fully decked out G2 running down the throat of Banana, pushing the CTs back into spawn. They don't even have anyone towards side. Haji just sitting there blind. Maka does get one back, actually a second with the spam. A little bit lucky, but hey, it'll do. It keeps them afloat at least for a bit longer. But can they actually make the retake work? The other two guys are still not even anywhere near B.
Those two kills are at the result of sublime grenade placement. They got shattered on their way up through Banana. As you say, though, Haji just standing there completely statuesque. That's so surprising. Now, the retake on the cards. They do have nades. They do have kits this time. They do have a way forward. And they get the back-to-back defuses. Here come the nades, forcing Amanek and Kenny S to face the music. And it's nothing but frags and FrenchFrogs. They're going to get the defuse. They're going to keep themselves alive a little bit longer. We had some drama yesterday with an overtime. Could we be seeing a repeat performance?
It's a little bit too early to have confidence in that just yet, but they're getting closer to that position. A couple of more, and then overtime really, truly is in the cards. Great job there on the retake, keeping themselves in the hunt. FrenchFrogs now taking a timeout. They know that every round matters so much. Any loss means that they're gone, so they really need to make the best of this. G2, on the other hand, do still have a little bit of cushion, though they are starting to lose it.
This was always going to be the ace up the sleeve, though. Their finances, their money is still very good.
Yep.
Amanek and Shox, no problem to replenish their guns. Same with Kenny. It's really only Jax. It's a little bit low, but even he can. Obviously, they can drop him guns, no problems. You can see even after a full purchase, Amanek and Shox are above $6,000. So there is no easy way out for FrenchFrogs, but they're doing their absolute best to get this close. Maka and Jax exchanging damage. Maka with a very fast rotation, to be honest. He's going to be keeping Haji by himself on B.
Yeah, this is interesting. They don't even really have any information to be doing this type of rotation, so really just trying to take a calculated risk. Obviously, they do still have positioning towards Moto, so they can still quickly rotate through CT spawn if they detect any pressure whatsoever. Typically, you're going to see a smoke land in CT spawn before there's any commitment, so that can give them enough time to shuffle over. They know they need every single round, so doing a stack like this is a one way to do it. Standard play hasn't worked out well for them, has it? So they need to do things like this, it feels like.
Solid counter flashes. Kenny S wanted that peek. Not going to happen. Now smokes and mollies being deployed.
But look at this. Now they're starting to gather with that bomb over towards top B. There's a lot of players towards pit NA site. That means the rotation is going to be a bit slow. Now that smoke goes on CT spawn. Now they need to start moving.
Haji's going to need to be a hero. He's going to have to do enough damage to get the rest of the team back close enough.
Here's the thing. Kenny has this op lurking middle. They're never going to expect it. If he takes an op shot, they're going to be so hard-pressed to rotate. Haji gets one kill, sure, but they're not moving.
Needs more, gets more. There's two, nearly a third. He's given his team the advantage, and because of that, a knee-jerk reaction from Kenny S is to pull back. He's not going to stay too long and potentially die and put this into a 2-on-4.
That's a smart call. Like, it would have been great if he got a pick. He would have kept them in place, but now he needs to get here and help out his team, and he has made it here in time. He needs to worry about his flank, though, and he is wise to it. He is keeping an eye out for it.
Really see the importance of Haji's 2 kills, but time ticking away. 2 incendiaries again. They have some kits. They've got a flashbang. Jack's up close. Knows one plays now in the gardens, waiting for that peek, finds it, there's two, that's it. It should be all over. Maka with a mountain ahead of him, is gonna get one, but no more in G2. Are gonna finalize the 2-0. After a horrible start on Inferno, it has to be said, it was looking curtains for them at one stage, but all credit to them. They showed great tenacity and they bounced back.
Yeah, what a recovery. 0-9 all the way to a 15 or 16-11 victory. Absolutely incredible stuff there, particularly that final round. Really well done by Jax up close on Coffins, catching them wrap, construction, and then KNES with the op, making it over just in time to help with the defense. And so they will go over and shake hands with their French brethren, walking away victorious and moving on to those playoffs. So kind of the 4 teams we expected to be there are going to be there in the end.
Absolutely. I think most people would have these teams down as their semi-finalists, and they haven't disappointed. G2, yes, it was rocky at times, but I think they proved a point, though, on Nuke in particular, that it was a one-off, that they normally would be the better of the 2 teams. I think they learned a lot as well from that result.
Again, they're showing us that they have a more refined play style. It's not just loose, scrappy CS. There is some, you know, foundation behind it, and we're seeing Alnick play so well alongside the normal stars of Shox and KNES, which is a great sign going forward for all the French fans. But that's going to be it from us. We'll send it over to Des to close things out. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Thank you very much, boys, for your hard work today. And FrenchFrogs didn't exactly work hard in the first map on Nuke, but G2 certainly did, Potter.
G2 definitely did, and I have to point out once again that last round where KNES was lurking towards that middle. He was in fact scoping and unscoping and feeding FrenchFrogs that sound cue, and he kept 3 defenders at a bomb site throughout the entire duration, even though G2 was in that B bomb site already planning the bomb. So really clever audible play from KNES, and that definitely secured the round victory for sure.
Absolutely, and considering the fact that he had such a rough game, and I'll be honest, there were a few rounds where he was going for fights which he really shouldn't be taking in that first half, but yeah, that particular play from him was very cool indeed.
Definitely.
FrenchFrogs didn't seem to have any defense, though. They didn't work for that victory at all on Nuke.
They definitely didn't. I mean, we saw time and time again Haji alone over at that B bomb site. FrenchFrogs were so afraid of defending A. They just didn't have what it took. They constantly had to stack 4 members towards that A bomb site. And G2 knew it. I mean, they knew that Haji was alone at that B, and really they just had to brute force their way into the site and play those post plants.
I think if you look at FrenchFrogs' performance throughout this entire tournament, you have to just mention the fact that their CD sides generally has been pretty bad, right? Like Nuke was pretty much non-existent. If you look at Inferno, they had a great start on the T side of theirs, but then when it switched over to their CD side, there was like nothing really happening, just 2 rounds on board. And looking at the kills over here, I just want to point out Amanek, he had a combined total of 46 frags in his 2 maps, like 23 in the first, 23 in the second one. Although Shox did also get 23 kills in the second map. Because Amanek has been definitely the surprise for me this entire tournament for these guys, because despite, even when things are looking a little grim and down, he has really stood up.
Well, Shox is ready and waiting to talk to us. Bonjour, Shox.
Bonjour.
Comment ça va?
Très bien, merci, et vous?
I totally understand why after that. Oh my goodness. Shox, how did you fix your Nuke for today?
I mean, like we kinda had a debrief about our Nuke yesterday, and also we just looked up the match. We directly saw like what fucked up, kinda, and we also, I mean, I knew why I wanted to pick it. First is because they will never expect it, as we just lost to it yesterday, so they won't be prepared to it. And the first thing when you do that is just to have a plan, and I had a plan, and it worked pretty well.
And Shox, when you were down 9-0 on Inferno on that first half, how were your team feeling? Did you feel nervous at all in that moment?
Not really, because I could feel that we were just not entering in the game. We didn't have the good setups, we didn't have the good crossfire. We were not showing the same level we just showed on Nuke, for example. So you don't have to kinda be anxious or stressed when it happens. You just have to wait for it and just to trust it will come, and to stay confident. That's what we did. And it happens at 9-0, and then from there everything went pretty good.
Tell me a little bit about Amanek. He has been so good this entire tournament, right?
Yes, what do you want to know about him?
like how is he like? If you look at G2's performances recently, like he's obviously been doing a great job, but in particular his sheer consistency, like that's something which I haven't necessarily seen that much of. Has something changed? Like has his positioning or whatever his role in the team, you know, has there been any changes so far?
We changed kind of details, I would say, but which are, I think, really good for him. And I also try sometimes to use him more than a lurker, because he's a really good lurker, but he's also really good at entry fragging, and he likes it. So by the fact that you can manage to switch him, first it's really hard to lead for the for the opponents, because they don't know if there is a lurk or not. So it's nice to play around it, I would say. And he's really, really good in both things. And when you kind of play differently, I would say, in CS, it helps, I think, to always being focused every round, because you don't like doing the same thing every round, and stuff like this. And it definitely worked with him. And I think the next step will be to try to do kind of the same thing for every player, that they feel really like comfortable with how we play.
Okay.
So Valiance tomorrow in your semi-final. How will you be preparing for that one, Shox?
As every match, I would say. So we're gonna definitely look about how how their map pool looks like, and how they, which identity, I would say, this team have, and just to try to play around it. But as always, the first thing I think is to always remember who we are and how we want to play CS, and just to never forget about it. The last matches that we lost, even online, for example, against Mosports or Optic for the ECS, is a perfect example where we are not showing anything good at all. And we just going to not show this face, and hopefully everything is gonna be fine.
Well, you showed us some bon visage aujourd'hui, so thank you so much, Shox. Apologies for my French.
Yeah, that's
Always
fine.
lovely to talk to you, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Well, there you go. I love seeing a happy Shox. I love seeing a happy Kenny S. This is like what I always say about G2. I just want them to be
I think this is
happy.
the first time I've seen Shoxy smile, at least of what I've seen of him in the past 2 days, and that's great. Those are some very good answers as well. Two things I want to point out is, one thing you mentioned, we need to remember who we are. They need to remember who they are when the chips are down, and that's something I kind of felt like it happened in Inferno. Here's an interesting thing about Inferno, right? The 6 rounds they won on the CT side was all eliminations. They didn't, FrenchFrogs didn't even get the bomb down once. That's G2 saying, we are better players than you, we're a better team than you, and just took the fight to them. I think that's something they need to keep in mind when the chips are down, things are looking rough here and there. And Amanik's role, it's pretty interesting, right? It makes sense now. Like, he's entering, he's being a lurk, he's doing so many things. And if you make him feel comfortable, and this is what he can, he can bring out, I'm just waiting to see what they do with Lucky and Jax as well.
For sure, and it all started off perfectly for G2, right? Starting off with the veto process. I mean, the cojones on G2 to come in today and pick Vertigo or Nuke, even though they lost yesterday to FrenchFrogs on Nuke. Starting off with that, they're in the right steps, in the right direction for sure.
Well, let's take a look at the top 5 plays from today. Will Karrigan have taken the lot? Let's see.
I hope we see Karrigan this time around. And there we go, Karrigan, indeed it is. This was crazy from him. Sees that, it was an eco, by the way. Picks up 3 kills with an AK-47 from above. And he, I don't know like how many hours he's been putting in like that batch or aim mouse, but he has really been on point.
And you know what, spoiler here, but Karrigan didn't get all the best plays of today, although he certainly put up a fantastic show, because Neptune on Inferno, on the oranges.
Oh, Neptune had such a fantastic Inferno performance, and particularly in this highlight. Most players, 9 out of 10 times after they get that first kill, they will drop down and take cover because they don't want to get traded. But he had a teammate holding from that emo corner, and he was able to get a decent crossfire off and bait the enemies into his crossfire. So, man, such a good performance from Neptune.
You sound like such a proud mom.
She is.
And yeah, Wardell as well. Speak about him too.
Wardell, this was a round. This was an eco round. This was actually an eco round. They only had pistols in this round, and Wardell in a 1 versus 2, man, he should have got that last kill, but unfortunately, they actually ended up losing that round.
Yeah, and of course, Kenny S. I mean, you see him in so many scenarios and so many all over these years. You put him, give that AWP in his hands.
The
Sure,
shot.
he didn't show up on Inferno, but my God, the shots. And unfortunately, we don't see Karrigan again. But Amanek was an absolute beast today.
He really was. It's so fantastic to see what G2 have pulled out of the bag. They've proved themselves, they've fought their reputation back, and they have earned their expected place in the Final Four. And they'll be joining Mouse, Avangar, and Valiant. It's the top four we predicted, really, isn't it, Potter?
It definitely is. I mean, all four of
Yeah.
these teams definitely deserve to be in the finals, and they showed that today.
I kind of felt like, I'll be honest, I thought maybe Windigo would be the fourth team, but yeah, Valence have really surprised all of us, and yeah, I think it's going to be a banger of a day tomorrow.
Well, let's take a look at that day. So we're going to be kicking off with Avangar versus
Spicy.
Mouse. Yes, indeed. And Valiance versus G2 Esports. It's going to be kicking off at 9:35 a.m. Central European time. So if you're a Brit like me, 8:35 a.m. Make sure you take your laptop to bed and watch on Caffeine on Twitch, your preferred platform of choice. I don't mind. Just make sure you're there watching us. Get mum to bring your breakfast in bed. That's what you do, Blair.
No, I don't. I'm a
Really?
grown man. Yeah, I make my own breakfast.
You make your own breakfast. I won't.
Wow.
Whoever I'm with. I don't mind where I'm staying. I just want someone to bring
lying.
me food.
I'm lying. I don't even make breakfast. I don't even have breakfast. I wake up too late in the
You
morning.
got those gamer
Yeah.
hours.
Yeah, obviously.
The
You sleep at
true
4
gamer
a.m.,
hours.
right? Like, who has breakfast?
Well, I certainly have breakfast, and I'm definitely not going to mix breakfast here in France because the bread is magnifique. Now, we need to say a massive thank you to our sponsors, Concert, Monster Energy, and Esports Management, because we wouldn't be here without them. So thank you so much for supporting us. As I said, we'll be back at 9:35 a.m. Central European time. Thank you all for watching. It all kicks off tomorrow with Championship Sunday. Do not miss it. It's going to be epic.